Hi Unraiders, and welcome back to another episode of the Uncast show. Now, it's been a little while since we've done an interview on the channel, and today we have a very, very special guest. For anyone who's been in the Unraid community for more than a few years, this man needs no introduction. He's one of the original content creators, and he's helped thousands of us get our services up and running. And he's actually just returned to YouTube, and it's been celebrated by everyone. So please, everyone, give a warm welcome to Ramy from Ibracorp. Ramy, absolutely awesome to have you here, my friend.
Thank you, Ed, for having me on the show. Mate, let me say, it's been a few years in the making, but it's a pleasure to finally hook up together. Everybody's asked for it for the last few years, so it feels good. Yeah.
Yeah, we've finally done it. And it's great to finally meet you. We spoke a few days ago during the week, and we've been like emailing each other, discussing ideas of collaborations and things we might do. Now, I think a lot of people listening, they're obviously going to think that Spaceinvader One and Ibracorp on the same screen is a big moment, because we're kind of a bit like the OGs of the Unraid creator world, aren't we, Ramy? So who do you want to be, Snoop Dogg or Dr. Dre?
I'll take Dre on this occasion, but either is a good option, mate. I don't think there's no competition there. But no, look, I think it's true, man. We started, at least I started back in 2020. You started a lot earlier than I did, and people have been loving our content since then. So it only made sense to finally meet up together, hopefully get some more content out together as well.
You know, what do you remember about the community when you first started back in 2020, Ramy?
Oh, apart from the videos, the occasional videos that we had out, it was mainly forums, and the community still felt pretty small in the Unraid world. Like, not really many people knew about it. I felt maybe the company at the time still felt pretty young, in that kind of early stages. And now, when I look back in 2025, it's just amazing how much of a staple item Unraid's become across the environment. So, yeah, it's a very different playground than we had, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. What actually got you started with Unraid in the first place? How did you actually find the OS?
I have a sister with a disability, so my approach was I needed something easy for her to be able to watch media, and Plex was that option. So I went down the deep dive of how can I host Plex, how can I make it easy for myself. Obviously, I had a little bit of sysadmin background, so I wasn't too worried about trying something new. But when Unraid came along, and that was my first introduction to Docker as well, mind you, had no experience with Docker whatsoever. A way to kind of click and install things, and I was like, this is great. Anyway, I started looking on YouTube. I found you. You're one of my first kickoff inspirations, mate. So I thought, this is awesome. Someone's covering it as well. I can follow along. And it's been great. Yeah,
well, I'm sorry I had to put you through having to listen to my voice all that time ago. I'm sure my microphone was a lot worse back then.
Mate, you were a diamond in the rough. As I was finding content, I think one of my biggest gripes with content creators at the time was they tend to waffle on so much. You could get 20 minutes into a video and still not be at the point of the video yet. So I thought, well, I'm going to go ahead and try and make some content, see what people think, and took some learnings from yourself as well. And here we are.
Awesome. Yeah, so a while back, a post appeared on the Unraid subreddit titled I Miss Ibracorp and Spaceinvader One, and it absolutely blew up. So what was it like for you seeing that massive outpouring of support from the community?
That was huge, mate. I mean, I was taking a very long break from the channel, just focusing on life and kids and all the rest that comes with it. And so I thought, I just didn't have time. But when I saw the post and saw how many people agreed and said, hey, we'd love for them to come back. We really missed their content, the way they presented things, broke down ideas. That was kind of like a kick up the butt to just get back into gear and say, you know what, we have an audience here that wants and likes our work. Yep. I would love to be able to keep serving them and giving them stuff that helps. And part of what we do, and I'm sure you might agree, Ed, is we like to educate, and we like to take what could be technical or complex things and try to make it easy for people to follow along. Because my personal belief is the more people we can get into, whether it's self-hosting or open source is a good thing. So
definitely,
yeah, that's one of my main inspirations. But yeah, the Reddit post, mate, it was unbelievable. I mean, you saw it. You saw how many people were screaming for us to come back and pump out some content. So it's been good.
what caused your kind of break in content creation? I know that you've had, 2 children. I'm not sure if the community kind of realizes you've had 2 children in the last 4 years, isn't it, Ramy?
Yeah, they're 4 years old now. Yep, turned 4 a couple of months ago. So it can take a lot of time, especially in those first couple of years, just trying to support the wife and the family. And then on top of that, my work priorities started really piling up as well, and I was concentrating on a lot of things at once. And for anyone with a day job, you can imagine it kind of sucks a little bit of the creativity out of you when you have so much on. So I guess I just needed a little bit of time to make the time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I remember in the post you said you didn't want to churn out content that was poor quality just for the sake of kind of YouTube algorithms. I think that's a really good thing, and a lot of creators feel that. But, it is quite easy to burn out as well. A lot of people don't realize that a video that is 20 minutes long that we might create, it didn't take us 40 minutes to make. It takes a lot longer than that. And I've just noticed there's another fine product from Ibracorp that's come out just a couple of days ago on Pangolin.
Yeah, that was heavily requested one, that one. And lots of room to expand.
Can you describe what Pangolin is and why people might be interested in checking out that video, Ramy?
Yeah, definitely. So Pangolin is a reverse proxy / tunnel / a replacement for your current way to access your resources remotely. Really, really cool application. I would suggest a lot of people check it out, even if it's not with our video, but the project is great. The ability for people to replace something like Cloudflare Tunnels. We have a lot of our audience that prefer self-hosted solutions, so I thought, we have to show this one off, and it was great to work with them as well.
So does it allow people to get around carrier-grade NAT if they've got that, like a Cloudflare tunnel would?
They can, yep, correct. A lot of the time they use something like a VPS to set it up on, rather than directly on Unraid. But so we wanted to demonstrate the Unraid aspect. We wanted to replace a reverse proxy. Here's a great option. But I reckon the next one we might do, we'll do that VPS tunneling option as well.
Yeah, that'd be a really awesome thing, because you can have a VPS for like $5 a month, can't you?
Yeah.
So it'd be nice to have a self-hosted Cloudflare tunnel that you don't have to worry about. A lot of people worry about streaming Plex, Jellyfin, Emby, and things through Cloudflare tunnel.
Yeah.
Getting in trouble for too much data going through. So with a VPS, if you've got unlimited data, that would be a really great thing, I think.
$5 a month as opposed to paying the pro price of Cloudflare, for example, to be allowed to use sort of caching. Kind of makes sense, doesn't it? You want to probably host it yourself.
Yeah, $5 is just a cup of coffee. So that kind of gives me a little bit of a good segue to ask you some kind of quick fire questions. I used to do this a lot with my interviews, just to get to know you. So coffee or tea, Ramy? What do you prefer?
Coffee first.
Yeah, coffee. Good man. I've got my coffee here, but going cold on the desk. And a nerd version, btrfs or ZFS?
I have never been able to wrap my head around ZFS properly, so I'm going to say btrfs just based on my knowledge set at the moment. Cool.
Let's throw in a really controversial one, and you have to give the right answer here, so I'll never speak to you again. Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Wars.
Yeah, good man. Well, they're both awesome, really. There was no wrong answer.
I actually liked Star Trek as well, but I never got into it as much. I wasn't part of that crowd, I suppose, so I just got into Star Wars, and that was pretty late in my life. But, mate, what a cinematic masterpiece that is. Yeah,
I've been running a container called, Ersatz TV. And by the time this video goes out, that Ersatz TV video will be out on my Spaceinvader One channel. Beautiful. And it's a really cool application, Ramy. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of it before.
No, tell us about it, mate. No.
It allows you to create your own TV channel, basically. So it connects either to your media library, or you can connect it to your media server, Jellyfin, Emby, or Plex. And you basically make your own TV show, like live TV.
Okay.
You make little collections. So I've got my kind of 1990s and noughties sci-fi, things like Dark Angel, kind of Star Trek Next Generation, all my kind of favorites. And you can either have it so you literally schedule the the programming. You can have like 6 p.m. it does 2 hours of Star Trek, 7 p.m. it does 2 hours of like Stargate, what have you.
Yeah, so your own TV channel, right?
Basically, yeah, and you then just connect that up to as an HD home run channel to Plex, Emby, or Jellyfin, and so all of your people who you share the channel with can watch these live things. And what I find so cool is you start watching something you'd never normally watch.
Yeah.
And I found some sci-fi shows that I thought, wow, I've never actually heard of this one. It's actually pretty cool. And because you can't fast forward, rewind.
You kind of stuck with what you got. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can actually put adverts in as well. Like a lot of people download like a 1980s advert pack. And so you can actually have it so it does filling out the kind of gaps. So like if the TV show is 40 minutes and it needs to do an hour, it can kind of put 5-minute blocks of ads during that hour to kind of pad it out to the hour so everything stays.
Is this DizQ TV? Is that what you're talking about?
No, it's called Ersatz TV.
Ersatz. Okay, yeah. I did try DizQ TV. Oh, I'm probably mispronouncing that like everything else with my accent, but that was cool, and it is a little bit dated now. So it'd be great to see your video and check this one out because I actually quite liked it. The kids found it quite useful too to have a kids channel that I could just schedule a whole bunch of stuff on and they'll watch it as it's live.
Yeah, it's really fun. Like if you're kind of working and you can chuck it up on another screen just in the background, it's just playing random episodes. You don't have to think about it. I was speaking to a friend of mine the other day and he was saying, wow, that's going to be so good for my mum because she likes the show Golden Girls. His mum's in her 90s. And so choosing the shows through Plex and that kind of thing is more difficult for her. So just to have it that she can just kind of turn it on, it just plays random episodes or... Yeah, I'm really enjoying that. It's probably my favorite container at the moment. It's something that I didn't know I'd like as much as I do.
Yeah, get it out there. I can't wait to see that one. That'll be great. Yeah, people will love that.
Anyways, we went off a little bit of a side tangent there. So I'm going to ask you a question that can end friendships. When you're editing a config file, tabs or spaces?
Spaces.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. I've been burnt. Yeah, I've been burnt with tabs many times, and I've been slapped over the head for it. So definitely spaces. Yeah.
And last one. So say you're setting up a media server for a friend. Are you going to point them to Plex or Jellyfin?
Oh, I'm going to say it depends on the friend.
Yeah, well, it depends. If you like them, you'll say Jellyfin. If you don't like them, Plex.
Yeah, pretty much. No, but I think if they have a little bit of tech savviness, I'd say go for Jellyfin, because they'll be able to at least troubleshoot anything that might come up or know where to look. I feel like still, if I'm being completely honest, Plex is still the most polished media server out there. I could be wrong. People can correct me, but I just still think it's still the most polished. Like it just works most of the time.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right, Ramy.
Yeah. But I love the open source aspect of Jellyfin. That's why I've been covering it a lot that's why I've been covering it a lot lately, just so people can jump on board. Because if it can be supported more and given enough donations for people to develop it off their own back, it can be just as good as Plex. The only difference is, Plex is a private model, right? So they've got a lot of capital to keep building on the app. That's probably all it is.
So out of the features that you see in Plex, what would you love to be able to see in Jellyfin that isn't there, that is in Plex?
I don't think there is any features in Plex necessarily that I couldn't get out of Jellyfin. Whether it's all out of the box, I don't know. It might be a different question, though. What about yourself?
I don't use Plex. I never have, to be honest.
Okay.
I originally used Plex and Emby and tried them at the same time, and I just didn't like Plex's interface. I really liked Emby, and I run Jellyfin and Emby side by side at the moment.
Beautiful. Yeah, nice. I did like Emby as well. I just gave that a trial, a couple of years ago. No complaints though. It ran great.
Talking about containers and things, I've probably got a question that everyone's dying to know. Give us a verbal tour of your server. What's your main Unraid server running these days? And also, what hardware is running the software that's running what you're running on there?
Yeah, my primary server, my whole rack is sitting right back behind me there. It's grown over the last few years. So we've got a Unify switch in there connecting back to the UDM Pro inside. I have a Dell R720 rack server. That's the new fresh start Unraid 0 to hero kind of server. I use that as my play bench. And then underneath that is a Silverstone case. I did that whole video around building it from scratch, which is a learning experience for me because I don't know about you, Ed. I've never done a rack server with the whole HD enclosures in the front. So that's just the case. But in terms of the hardware running on it, I've got an i9 10900.
Nice.
Using an iGPU on there. I've got 64 gig of RAM. I've got to meet one of my Discord members the other day on voice chat, and the guy has, I'm not going to drop his name in case he doesn't want to, but he has like a terabyte of RAM.
Oh man, wow.
The first time I've ever seen
insane.
that. Yeah.
That is insane.
I couldn't believe it. He had a whole story around how that happened, but I just couldn't believe it. I was like, a terabyte of RAM. He runs game servers on there. That's what he was saying. That's pretty much the hardware. It doesn't take too much. I don't run a graphics card. I've always wanted to, but I found for my use case, I guess I didn't really need it. You might be different on your end, but I know you've actually covered graphics cards quite a bit in terms of media servers, so I did follow along on all that. But for myself, I think that the Intel iGPU seems to do a great job on its own, so I haven't needed to.
Yeah, I think the Intel iGPU does a better job than something like a Quadro P2000 by NVIDIA for transcoding. It's just so much more efficient, much more power efficient. But are you kind of interested in VMs and that kind of thing? Is that something you kind of do, or do you tend to you're just like a Docker man and you run physical machines as opposed to virtual machines?
No, so I don't run any virtual machines on my Unraid server. That's really mainly my media server. There's a couple of miscellaneous apps, but most of it at these days is doing media automation and Plex and Jellyfin now as well, sorry. But for virtual machines and things like LXC containers, I use Proxmox, and I've got that installed on our cloud server. I kind of hate calling it a cloud server. It's just a server with Hetzner. A cloud server is somebody else's server.
Hetzner are great, aren't they? They're really good. Like I bought off Hetzner one of their kind of used servers from the server auction. I think I pay about $29 a month, and I've got, I think, 6 terabytes hard drive and a couple of 512 SSDs and an old Intel 6700, I think it is.
Yeah,
but it's great. Yeah,
my partners Hawksy and Duck, the late Duck, introduced me to Hetzner, and here in Australia we get no really good options like that. You'd be paying $300-400 Australian for half of what you get from Hetzner.
Wow.
Obviously, you get the latency reduction. It's going to be here in the oceanic area, but I just can't go wrong. I think I pay €80 for this kitted out server with 128 gig of RAM, and I just run a bunch of containers on there. Yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, so we'll put a link to Hetzner, I think, in the description of this video.
Yeah, please do. Maybe one day they'll sponsor us.
I did ask them to once, but if you're listening, Hetzner, I did ask you when I was doing a video on installing Unraid on a Hetzner server. I made a script that would download the download Unraid, and using their rescue media, it would put it onto a USB flash drive and then reboot. I said, would you sponsor me? And they said, nah.
They're very curious like that. What do we do? We've just installed Proxmox directly on the server, so it's running on the host, which with a little bit of trickery, and man, it really takes advantage of something. Rather than paying for multiple VPSs, you just host your own static IP. It's great. Yeah.
So is that where you're going to put your Pangolin when you're running it on VPS, do you think?
Yeah, I think I'll just do that. I'll run a small container. The networking side I haven't quite figured out yet because we've got pfSense on there, and
oh wow,
trying to understand how it's running.
I don't want to get into the kind of weeds too much in this kind of podcast, but how do you find the stateless firewall with Hetzner? I find it a real pain personally, but
I don't even use it. I don't think. Is that on by default? You mean?
Yeah, it's just a stateless firewall. So it's very difficult for doing kind of various things. But okay, and so What services are you running on your server? So just kind of media things. Anything else that's not media that might be running on Unraid?
Anything that's not media related. I've got an application that I like a lot called Notifiarr. Really good developer, Nitzua, worked on that, and that, apart from notifying you about all the services you've got plugged into it, it has a wide range of things it plugs into. It hooks up to something called the trash guides as well. I kind of covered that in past, and you might be familiar, Ed, with this, but it allows automatic syncing of those profiles too. So you can bring those down to all of your automation apps and make things a little smoother. It's mostly hands off. I really don't touch the server too much, apart from making videos for people. And then I've got a couple reverse proxy things running, like traffic and Nginx proxy manager. Yeah, so anytime I want to get something external or run that.
Yeah, your traffic videos were really awesome, Ramy, I must say.
Yeah, thank you. I can't take all the credit. That was definitely a team effort there. That was a hard one. We actually had some good input from traffic as well, which always helps.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So what a lot of people don't realize is, there is like a kind of community behind Ibracorp. Not just the YouTube channel, but you've got a Discord channel, you've got Ibra Docs, GitHub, etc. Can you tell us a bit about Ibracorp? The Ibracorp ecosystem, that's the word I'm looking for.
I'd love to, yeah. So when I started off making content, I realized, all right, there was a lot of like-minded people. Should develop a space for them to come in and share their ideas. And one thing I've kept in the back of my head this whole time, the past few years, is I'm not the smartest person in the room in every scenario. There are people that, and you've met them, Ed, these are people that are super brainiacs, man. They know stuff back to front. The part where they may struggle is trying to get that concept out to others to understand, right? So a lot of the developers I meet, for example, are super intelligent people. And sometimes they just don't have the time or the energy to try and translate it for people that maybe not as super intelligent, right? But I believe their product is so good that I want to get it out to as many people as I can. So anyway, we create this Discord server, people start joining. And then I realized this really is a communal thing. So if I'm going to cover a topic, I try to reach out to the developers first, ask them, hey, we want to cover this in a video. Is there anything you'd like to share that you'd want to highlight or, anything like that, and try to make it collaborative. And with or without them, if that doesn't work or it does work, we take that feedback, and then I ask pretty much the group and the community, what do you guys want to see? I say, I would love to see a video on this. That makes my job easier as a content creator because I can make exactly what people want, right? And at the same time, I get to learn because I get to learn from all these people. They show me how to do it all, or they might help me and provide input on a video I'm already doing myself and correct me as I'm going. So I get to keep learning. And I think that's better than just pumping out content, assuming I know everything.
That's really great, Ramy, how you get the feedback from the actual developers. That's really cool that you can get that relationship going. I think that brings a huge amount of value to your videos, and I think that's a really great thing.
Can I ask you, Ad, before we move on, I want to know more about you as well, mate, and your channel. I think a lot of people would love to know more about you. I don't know if you've covered it already, but I'd certainly like to know more.
Sure. So I started my YouTube in 2016. There wasn't any Unraid content, and I kind of fell into the Unraid content making. I'd used Unraid since 2012 on and off. I really kind of got into Unraid, I'd say seriously when Unraid 6 hit and there was VMs and Docker containers. I thought, wow, this is just awesome. And I started my kind of computer life, I would say, with computers like Commodore 64, Atari 800, the early kind of like IBM PCs. And in those days, it was just so fun to me, and I absolutely loved it. I've worked in IT for, since about 1998, and it kind of got more and more boring, I found, as the years went on. Kind of IT just like, it's always a fun subject, but it kind of got a bit kind of stale. And then Unraid 6 came out, and like Docker containers, VMs, like just so easy to do. And it just put that same spark of fun back into kind of computing that I felt I had when I was a child with my kind of Atari 800, and just tinkering with it and feeling I can do something with it. I used to sit in my bedroom like writing stupid games. One was called Light Bulb Larry on my Atari 800, where you kind of put little bulbs in a socket on a platform and jumping over things. You know, just to be able to make stuff on your own and do things, I found that, you know, really great. I think it was about the same time, it must have been, as Windows 8 came out. So, you know, you're kind of like seeing things like Windows 8, and then, you know, you get Unraid 6.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, absolutely no comparison. Anyway, I'm kind of drifting off here again. But my daughter said she wanted to do a YouTube channel. And I was going, you know, go for it, just do it. And she's going, oh, I'm too embarrassed, I'm too shy. And I said, I'll tell you what, if you do a YouTube channel, I'll do one as well. So I started doing YouTube. I think the first video I did was actually, I did it with my brother as I think put some sort of liquid cooler on a GPU or something ridiculous. And I think it's called the Frostbite or something cooler. And I quite enjoyed just making the videos. And my daughter a week later said that she has changed her mind and she was on to kind of something else that she wanted to do. I think she wanted to, like, you know, try some kind of sport, or I think it was horse riding that she wanted to do then, and like YouTube had kind of like become a second sort of you know, thought. And I thought I actually really enjoyed it, and I was really into using Unraid. I've been using it a long time, and I thought there's just no videos on Unraid at all. There was just absolutely nothing. So I thought I'm going to start doing them. So, and I apologize to everyone who has to listen to my early videos with my MacBook Pro microphone.
Yeah, I started with a headset, mate. Well, we'll start somewhere, right?
Yeah.
That's an awesome story.
I remember
though.
I used to get a lot of complaints. I used to get about the sound quality in my videos. So hopefully it's better now.
Like we said the other day, I think it's something you only realize once you start really making a lot of content how important the sound is, and you start to appreciate, okay, I probably need to splurge and buy a good microphone because people want that good sound.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than watching a YouTube video and the sound's just hard. You know, I'd rather watch a YouTube video with crap video and good sound than good video and crap sound. You know, I think most people are the same. But, you know, a lot of people might wonder, you know, where I've been with the Spaceinvader One channel.
Yeah.
A lot of people might not know that I started working officially for Lime Technology at the beginning of this year. And I'm making content on the Uncast channel, various things like, you know, interviews like Ramy and I are doing right now, various kind of tutorials and reviews of things like we reviewed the Link Station N2 and S1 recently, things like that. And I really wanted to get into my new role. I used to run my own business, an MSP, for probably 20 years. And it got to a kind of point in my life where I was thinking I'd quite like a change, and the opportunity came up to work full-time for Lime Technology. Best move I ever did. Such a great team we've got. Yeah. And I really kind of wanted to get into doing that. So I wanted to really concentrate on my role there. And I thought, I want to get the Uncast channel up to 10,000 subscribers. So I didn't want to be putting out content on my own channel, taking away kind of views to the Uncast. I wanted to build that up first, but we're over 10,000 subscribers now. I think we're on about 11,500.
Yeah, I just checked in the other day. It was really steaming ahead. It's good.
So yeah, I think I can start making some Spaceinvader One things. I've got a whole load of things in the pipeline. Also, just in my spare time recently, I've been working on various little plugins and things. Like, one thing that I've been working on is a way to actually start the Unraid array that's encrypted without having to put in an encryption key. So I'm going to kind of announce what it is here now, as I finish the plugin now. So I did a video years ago. I'm not sure if you use encrypted disks on your server, Ramy, or you just...
I'm not, but I'm listening now because it sounds interesting.
You know, I like to have encrypted disks on my server. The main reason being is not that I've got like super secret kind of NASA data there that, you know, if anyone found it, it's going to be really bad. But if one of my drives goes wrong, and it's quite a new drive, and I want to RMA it back to the company, I don't have to worry about my data being there because it's encrypted, and, you know, it's not going to kind of just get recycled and maybe churned out to someone else, and they could, like, you know...
That's a good point, yeah.
find the data on there. So that's really my main reason I want the encryption. So the pain is always where you start up your Unraid server and you've got to put the encryption key in. And yeah, you could have like an encryption key 1, 2, 3, 4 if you want to be really dumb. But you need a long, decent encryption key, and that can be a pain to type in. So years ago, I thought, how can we get around that? So I made a script that just basically downloads it from a web server in a private FTP place. But then that script was in the Go script, and obviously, if someone stole your server, that script's there, and they could, decrypt the server. So the server would boot up, do that, download the key, unlock the drives automatically. So a lot of people use that for many years, and I think most people who auto unlock their servers do still do that. But yeah, you can delete the key from online if you find out your server's been stolen. But say you're away for a month, your server gets stolen, they plug it into the internet and they load it up. All of your data is going to be there.
Yeah.
So, for people who might be running kind of like a small business, they might be, have more kind of important data. They may have financial data on there. That could be a real issue if a thief steals it and they just happen to then go through and find other data that's more valuable than the server itself. So I really wanted to think of a way of actually mitigating that. So basically how encryption works is it uses LUKS encryption, which, saying this more for the kind of audience, I know you know this already, Ramy, but you can have more than one key. I think in LUKS 2 it's 32 keys we can have. So you can have multiple keys. So what I figured is we keep the main key that you'd normally type in. And so what the plugin does is it generates its own dynamic key. It takes the serial number or the MAC address of your primary NIC, and it also reaches out to your router, takes the MAC address of the router, and it combines them and hashes it into a separate key. And so then when the server starts up, if it's connected to the router, it can always generate the key dynamically, and it will create that key on boot, put it in and unlock the drives. So then if someone steals your server, they're very unlikely to steal your router and your internet and try and set it all up there. They're going to steal just the server. They'll leave the router behind, and then it will auto start, and it won't be able to make the dynamic key.
That's awesome.
It'll be plugged into a different router, and so the key will be incorrect and it won't auto start. But then you can always get in with your original key. So it just gives you an extra key and allows the auto start. So I've been working on that probably since January on and off, and
surely you're going to do a
adding more and more things. So that's a video that's coming this week after the Ersatz one, and I'll release the plugin officially.
Mate, look at us. We're coming back. We're coming back with a punch, aren't we now?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I think, Ramy, how many videos have you done since like the Reddit post? It must be kind of like what, 4, 5?
Yeah. Look, I went a little bit too hard that first week. Probably I was a bit too excited, man. You get pumped up, So yeah, I think I've done about 5 and a couple of shorts. Trying to do a bit more of the shorts. And I just want the audience to know as well. I've avoided. And Ed's probably the same, right? When I was saying to you, Ed, that I like putting good quality content, I'm not always about the algorithm. There is also a point where you're like, your channel just can't grow without doing some sort of stuff, that YouTube likes, even though they say it's what the audience likes. So it's important to do a couple of things like shorts, and I'm just trying to do a bit more of that. But the main content's always going to be those flagship videos we do. They're the most fun as well.
Looking ahead, you've come back with a clear vision, obviously, and
absolutely.
What would you say is the grand plan for Ibracorp over the next year? Now you're back.
Yeah, great question. I've been thinking about this, a lot over the past few weeks, and my clearest vision is to keep growing the channel, to keep getting more involved with a lot of these projects that I probably put off in the past few years because I didn't have the time, so I can invest a bit more time in that. And ultimately, try and really sit YouTube at the front. I'm trying my best to do that now, rather than kind of like a side thing. I'm trying to make it more of the main thing for us here, because it just gives me that creative joy that I just don't get out of. Like you said earlier, IT gets boring, and you couldn't have said it better, man. I do it day in, day out. There's only so much you can do before you just need something different. And doing this gives me something different almost every week. We can pick and choose what we want to cover or how we want to cover it, and you're writing plugins for yourself. And what kind of job gives you that opportunity as often? Usually you kind of have to just toe the line, right? So yeah, I'm really looking forward to the next 12 months of just getting more and more content. And I'm hoping the channel grows naturally because of it, as it has been anyway.
Everyone, who doesn't know Ramy's channel, get over to Ibracorp, hit the subscribe button. Like both Ramy and I, we want to get to 100,000 subscribers. We need the silver plaque.
Man.
So, everyone watching who is a Spaceinvader One watcher, go over to Ramy's channel and just hit that subscribe button, please.
Thank you so much. Yeah, please do.
Switching gears a little bit, Ramy, a lot of people don't realize, and you just mentioned it briefly then, that, your career is actually in IT and you work in cybersecurity. Am I correct?
Correct, yeah. Over the past 2 years, I think I've been doing that role specifically. Yeah.
And how do you find, does that tie in any way to your kind of YouTube content? Do you find that's kind of helpful in the kind of type of things you're doing? Is there like a kind of crossover with that in any way that you find useful?
Yeah, there is in the sense that I have to deal with a lot of various different vendors on a day-to-day basis, or I'm looking at new products for, my day job, so to speak, which exposes me to a lot of various different tools that are out there. Now, generally, we're not talking about the same tools you probably buy to protect your house or your home network. These are usually, as you know, enterprise things. But what it does give me is a bit of a visual of, hey, I wonder if there's an open source option of this particular tool.
Right.
And if there is, man, people should know about it, because I think it's a really cool idea. I just don't know if someone at home wants to pay $20,000 to have it. So, what options do they have? So, yeah, I do crossover all the time. The YouTube stuff is actually pretty funny because I started doing a lot more cyber awareness training as well. So my role is a cybersecurity advisor. That's typically what my role is. So when I'm not advising, I'm also trying to bolster up resilience. And I'm trying a new thing for Cybersecurity Awareness Month in October, with doing like a retro theme, gamifying it, and trying to get more buy-in from the staff. So trying to think outside the box and use a bit of that creativity there has been fun. And, I bring that back to the channel because I can pretty much share all the funny stories that we kind of get across the line. Cyber is one of those things. You've been around a lot longer than I have, Ed, but it never used to be called cybersecurity. It just was IT security, Pretty much. You wore many hats as a sysadmin as well. You kind of covered that aspect anyway. So yeah, bringing it back to the channel, people have been really keen on, okay, we've got all these awesome apps. How do I actually protect myself? And so having that experience with whether it's firewalls, next-gen firewalls, thinking like Cloudflare and at that level as well, it'll be useful. People will like it.
Yeah, what advice could you give to the Unraid users out there for how they can actually improve the security of not only their Unraid server, but the services that they have running on it that they expose to the internet? Do you have any tips that you would say are must-do things? What would you recommend to the community for that?
Number one, and I hope you agree with me on this, but please do not port forward to your Unraid server directly. That is the first and foremost thing I'm going to start with. We've heard some horror stories. We've probably all done it at one point. Don't do that. The next best thing you can do is, if you can just avoid opening ports at all, in my opinion, is your best choice. And if you can do it in a self-hosted way, something like WireGuard, you're laughing, I think one of the biggest learnings I had from when I started even the channel, but just me learning it in Unraid as well, was, do I actually need everything reverse proxied? Like, I was just reverse proxying everything. And a few years down the line, I thought to myself, I probably don't actually need this stuff publicly available. I can just VPN in and access it anywhere anyway. Why take that risk? So that's probably my two big tips.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I had a friend of mine, I'm not going to say your name, Marco. he literally just forwarded port 80 before Unraid actually even had like a password to log in to the internet. Wow. And then one day he rang me up and goes, Ed, all of my data's gone. And I went, really? And he just forwarded port 80 because he wanted to be able to, when he was at work, access his Unraid server. And like, so never forward ports, because then you're, reliant on, even if it's an application, you're reliant on the how good is the security of that application?
And generally, it's all bots. It's bots scanning 24/7, and they're going to beat you 9 times out of 10. So just don't take the chance if you can avoid it.
Yes, that's a really good point, Ramy, like it's bots. Because I think a lot of people, they kind of think, well, why no one would bother trying to hack me? I'm just a little home user.
Yeah.
But bots don't give a... I was going to almost swear then.
Yeah.
Bots don't give
a rat's earlobe about that.
Yeah, thank you, Ramy. Thank you for pulling me out of a hole there. Yeah, so...
Yeah, no.
So yeah,
definitely just protect yourself, man. Don't even do it if you can avoid it. That's the best thing you can do.
But I think I was the same as well. I'd reverse proxy things, for the sake of it. I think I don't need to be reverse proxying that. But I think now we've got Tailscale in Unraid. I'm not sure if that's something you use a lot, Ramy. But
I love it. Yep, love it.
It's great because you can give access to not only yourself, but you can just send a share link to a friend. Like, oh, do you want to be able to access this container? You put Tailscale into it, and then give them access just to that one.
That's a great use case. I haven't even gone that far.
Well, one use case I really like. I'm a big fan of Vault Warden. I'm not sure if that's something you use yourself, Ramy. It's for everyone listening, it's a self-hosted password manager. But with Vault Warden, you have to use a domain. So I don't like using a domain. So I've got to have like password.mydomain.com. You have to have that because the clients use it that you have in your web browser to be able to fill in the passwords. They need that, and it needs to have an SSL certificate. But I never used to like having it exposed to the internet. Even though they've got very good security in the software, it was still, someone could go to that web page and it would say, do you want to log in? I didn't like that. So I thought, well, Tailscale can fix this. So what I did is I just made an A record for password.mydomain. I installed SWAG, which is my favorite reverse proxy personally, which is just an Nginx reverse proxy. And I put Tailscale into that. So it had its own Tailscale IP. And then what I did is I made an A record for password.mydomain.com to that Tailscale IP. And so
that's great.
On my tailnet, it would resolve. It would have an SSL certificate, and so long as I'm connected to Tailscale, I can access my my password manager. And my wife as well. I put Tailscale on her phone and stuff, so all of her passwords, and so it still works with the domain, but it's linked into Tailscale. So I love Tailscale. I think it's...
Yeah, man. Ever since, we started with the Docker container, and then when it came out as a plugin, it was.
I remember you did the Tailscale. You were I think you were the first person that actually showed me Tailscale. Like I remember you had the Docker container. Yeah.
That was thanks to Hawksy on that one, but yeah, we got the video out, and then now obviously we have the plugin. I push everyone to the plugin. I say go do that. We're hoping to do the Tailscale video soon as well, as an update. But I use it all the time. So all my stuff, when I'm trying to SSH into my servers, first thing I do is I fire up my Tailscale, which has access to that separate network, and I can work normally, without reverse proxying anything, which is great. Well,
we've got a little bit of an announcement to make as well, haven't we, Ramy? To the community is Ramy and we're going to be doing some collaboration videos together. So Spaceinvader One and Ibracorp coming together, and we're going to be making some really great content for you. To the community, is there anything in particular you'd like us to cover together? We've got some ideas. We're not going to spill what they are right now, but if you guys have got any ideas of what you'd like Ramy and I to cover together, we'd be very happy and open to any suggestions.
Yeah, make sure you drop it in the comments, guys, because we'll read the comments, and it gives us exactly the right thing to make for you. So feel free to jump in and subscribe. That'll be great as well to both our channels, so you can get alerted when we drop them.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm very excited about working with Ramy, working with such a, great YouTuber who's been around for a long time. Like we were saying earlier, working with my OG counterpart, I think that's going to be super fun. And with Ramy's kind of skills, and he brings a different angle to things, teaches things a bit different to me. So the combination of us together, I think we can have some great collaborations and have a whole load of fun with you guys out there in the community as well. But anyway, it's been an absolutely fantastic chat, Ramy. This has been well overdue, in my opinion. And I know all the community, hopefully, is going to love it. But before I'm going to let you go, I'm going to just say again, I'm sure everyone already knows, but where can they find you? You know, plug everything, the YouTube channel, the Discord, the GitHub, all of it. Where can people find Ramy Ibrahim?
No worries, guys. If you want to find our channel, it's youtube.com/c/Ibracorp. And you can also get to our website, ibracorp.io or ibracorp.com. And we'd love to have you. You'll find our links to our Discord all across all of the socials. And we're also on Twitter as well, ibracorp_io, Reddit, all the rest. You'll find the links there on our website. But yeah, we'd love to have you. Thank you very much, Ed, for meeting me. And as a fan, as much as I'm a content creator, I'm also a fan of yours and your work. So thank you for your work. And
likewise, I'm a fan of yours as well. So yeah, we're both having a bit of a strange moment, like being fans of each other. So, but Ramy, thank you so much for your time today. You know, and thank you for everything you do for the Unraid community. It's people like you that make the Unraid community great, and also people like you in your Ibracorp ecosystem. I've got a question I've got to ask you. Ibracorp, I love the name. It's so cool. It reminds me of Blade Runner. Yeah, that's what it gives me, the Blade Runner vibes. Yeah. I'm not sure if that's where you got inspiration from, but I want to know, where did the name come from? It's such a cool name.
All right, perfect.
Tell us about
it. I love Mr. Robot. I love
Matrix.
Yeah. I love, you know, all that dystopian technological future. I love that stuff. So when I had E-Corp in Mr. Robot, I thought, you know, I would love the channel to be almost, people don't really know what we are, a little bit generic, a little bit of mystery, a little bit, you know, dystopian. So I thought, yeah, Ibracorp, which comes from my surname, Ibrahim. So I just took Ibra.
Oh, right, of course.
Added Corp, and here we are. And there you go.
Wow. Yeah, wow. Never thought of that. So yeah, it's the beginning of your surname. How cool's that? Awesome. What an awesome name. I remember you did a video a long time ago that was kind of like an animated video with a man kind of talking.
Oh yeah, that was
and it was like an advert. Yeah. How did you do?
That was my poor
that was original AI, was it? Wow.
Yeah.
You were well ahead of the game back then. Like, you know, that was amazing. Really great.
It was very good, but yeah, it was fun. It was fun.
Yeah, definitely. Anyway, it's an honor to have you back, Ramy. You know, keep pumping out the content, please, but don't burn yourself out. You don't need to do 5 videos a week. You know, we're very happy to have you back doing 1 video a week. You know, maybe we'll push you to do 2 if you got the time.
With you any day, mate.
And a huge thank you for all of you guys listening. You know, keep an eye on both of our channels for collaboration content coming soon. You won't want to miss it. And until next time, take care, everyone. So it's a bye from me and bye from you, sir.
Thank you. We'll see you in the next video.